Hello, humans. We interrupt your normal broadcasting episode 25 for a very important update on the BBE, Leanne.
Yes, indeed.
We have had 2.5 people reach out to us and ask us to do an episode on this one. I don't know where the other half of the person's gone, but we will do, I suppose, a BBE themed episode. And for those that haven't played, what's BBE, Blake?
The bad boy experience.
There you go. He's paying attention, Granny. I'm quite surprised. I was trying to catch you out.
A plus.
Yeah, so we were going to do an episode this week about community and how you should be nicer to everyone else and give everyone big tentacle hugs and all these different things. But they'll slide back to a future time slot. So if we do another episode called episode 25, we've already
that's why.
So just pretend we're insane.
Yeah, but before we do that, I do have to say, the one thing that we did say in the original episode 25 that we probably should say today is that our little friend Ashton actually made his goal that you set him of getting to 100 subs. So how was that?
Yeah, it was pretty good.
It was pretty good.
Tentacles applause. There
yes.
you go. And obviously Blake's equally as ecstatic as I am.
Well, he's
well done.
Yeah, well done. And he's interested to know what your next challenge is for him.
Yeah, so episode 25, well, the first iteration of it, I did allude to the fact that I've kidnapped Santa, and Ashton's needs to get to 150 subscribers for me to release Santa by Christmas, for him to get to all the girls and boys over the world. So, if anything goes wrong and Ashton doesn't get to 150 and Santa doesn't get released, well, we know who to blame. Go pick on a 10-year-old. So,
yeah, okay, sure. Nanny, you big bully. No, I don't think you'll have any issues getting to 150. Do you, Blake?
It's a pretty steep task, but I reckon he can do it. Yeah.
Speaking of steep tasks, how are you, Blake, in your abysmal facial hair?
I'm doing okay. It's starting to fill in now. I'm happy. I'm doing all right. It's hot here today. Hot for Ballarat. It's like 24, so sweating.
Oh, you poor thing. It's going to be 35 here.
Listen to both of them. Who's the octopus out of water here? Don't come rigid to me about it.
Get your glass of water and spray it on yourself. You'll be right.
That's right.
Yeah.
Your little spray bottle.
Yeah.
Well, I always tell him he should spritz himself.
Yeah.
It's hard to get a tentacle around and push the button. So before we start recording, Blake, you were telling us how you did, what was it, 7 or 8 $4,000 days in a row? Like you're smashing Depop.
Oh, not quite that amount, not quite that much, but most days recently anyway, Depop's actually exceeded eBay. So it was good. Thursday was very good. It was about $1,000 a day between the two of them combined, which is pretty good for me at the moment. Except eBay seems to have not liked me getting a lot of good sales and have throttled me over the weekend. So
yeah,
but that's fine. It all washes out over long term, I guess. But I'm not too upset. I'm still making sales.
Yeah, I've had not too bad sales. I'm a bit like you guys. It feels like there's a cap that you can't just sort of quite get over. But I've had a reasonable weekend and I've got 3 international sales over the weekend. But 9 out of my last 15 sales from yesterday and today have been like vintage collectible books. So that's sort of more than the clothing. So I think, leading into Christmas, people are looking to buy Christmas presents. And I did have one book, which was Octavia Butler science fiction novel. And I had it listed for over $50 because it's worth that. I had it listed for a reasonable price. And someone sent me an offer for $25. So I went in to wake back up and listen to me. So I went in to counter the offer and luckily read the buyer's note first. And that sort of swayed me to accept their offer. So it was someone buying it for her boyfriend, who's a very keen sci-fi fan, and he likes the artwork on the covers, and that's what I really like about them too. So, and he's from Canada, so I let it go.
Well, you had me at Octavia, so the name sold me, so I was quite interested in that story. But, I suppose, another story, we've got a Grumpy Granny has done us a little bit of background work and a bit of a new logo by the looks of it. I've got one question for you, though, Blake.
Yes.
What do you got against octopuses? Why are you giving me what looks to be like a prostate exam?
Well, you see, I'm not doing that. I'm actually trying to eat. So yeah, that's what it is.
It looks
And
like I'm hanging on for dear life.
Yeah, I'm a bit shocked that a big octopus has somehow fallen into my lap. So that's all that is.
That's right. I suppose there's worse places for an octopus to fall into, but I don't know. It looks like I'm hoping you got your white gloves on. That's all I got to say.
Yes, well, you're all clear as far as I can tell.
And I figured that it was my one and only chance to actually have us towering over the top of you, Octo.
Yeah,
you look like you're having a great time, actually.
I was going to say, it just took a medical procedure to that happen, Leanne. But yes, though, I do like it. Yeah, for those that for the 2.5 people that are watching this episode that asked for it, please put in the comment field below if you like Leanne's little artwork. I'm actually quite surprised by it, and I'm actually impressed that normally Leanne does really half-assed work. So.
Well, talking of artwork, I have created another piece of artwork. When I did that one at the same time, I did another piece of artwork, and I did it for our own little Blakey here, Life of a Reseller. So he is agreed to do some live streams. So I actually made him a thumbnail for his live streams. Ooh. So watch out over the next week. Hopefully there should be a live stream.
Yes. Well, agreed is questionable, more or less. Everyone's like, do it, Blake. Do it, Blake. Do it, Blake. I'm like, all right. Can't upset the masses, otherwise I'll lose more subscribers.
Right. Yeah, there's three people in Grumpy Granny's Discord, and I will put Grumpy Granny's Discord in the description box. They're quite vocal.
No, I think at least 4 people said that they'll watch it.
Okay, well, there's only 5 in the group, isn't there?
Yeah, something like that. Times a bit more.
No, but 5's good enough for me. I could have a good chat with 5 people.
No, that's chat with you guys for an hour. All jokes aside, that I have slithered into Grumpy Granny's Discord a few times undercover, and it's quite enjoyable. It's quite, I suppose, pleasant and community orientated. Like there's no alternative motives or no pay per click scenarios and all those different things. So that's not to dissuade people from joining other Discords. Like John the Reseller's got one, and you're more than welcome to join his. But like I said, I'm in Granny's and I can vouch for it. So that's quite good.
Quite entertaining. Yes.
Yes, we're going to be doing Tuesday night. I'm going to be doing our first book group talk about we're going to sort of have that was why it was started in the first place, was to talk about, for Australian resellers, to talk about how to sell books, what sort of books are selling, and especially for those too that want to capture that international market, what sort of books are being sold overseas. So
that's good. Like like you said, it's a great community atmosphere. There's lives that focused on what people actually want. And all those different things. Yeah, like I'm not in there as much as I should be because the last couple of weeks I've been quite busy. But this coming week I'm planning to have more of a presence in there and stopping by and doing all these different things. What I did mention,
it started for books, but now there's toy areas, there's clothing, there's jeans, there's DVDs, CDs, there's nearly everything now. So.
Good. Kept adding to it. And then there's a special eBay section as well, where so if you've got questions about postage, about eBay policies, anything specific to do with eBay, there's a section where you can go in there and ask questions and a help desk so that we can try and help people if they're struggling with anything. So
that's right.
It seems to be going well.
And from what I've seen, everyone's welcome, so which is good. You let Blake in there, so that's a testament to that fact.
I know. You've dropped the bar pretty low.
Well, I was going to say, she had seen a picture of your facial hair. I don't think you would have got admittance. But hey.
Do you want me to go back clean shaven, do you, Octo?
Even Christian Forrest Fines, he asked about artwork because that's something that interests him. He doesn't do it, but he's interested in it. So we created an art gallery so that people could talk about, reselling, picking up, and what sort of stuff to pick up too. So and if there's an interest area that someone's got that we haven't got in there, we'll add it, and if it doesn't get used, it can be deleted later on.
That's right. Do one for Skylanders and I'll come in and do live calls about those.
And I've been jumping in the reselling room, which is where you can go in and have video and voice chats. So I've been jumping in there from time to time when I get a bit, and been chatting to a few of the members, which is good.
Yeah, no, it's good. But what I was going to say is that one thing that I normally see floating around on Facebook occasionally is that kind of keep your mouth shut because it's, you're going to ruin it for everyone else, or, all the resellers are against each other. But like I said numerous times before, and I said it heavily in last week's episode, that we're not going to air ever again. So we'll have to make a lost episode. But like the likelihood of you coming across the exact same stuff at the same time as someone else and being in competition with someone is it's highly unlikely. So if you can, you can part your knowledge. It works both ways. So like I said, it's definitely a good group to be in. And Grumpy Granny, she runs it with an iron fist, which is always good by the octopus. 2 tentacles out for that.
Yep.
So that's all good. But I suppose, Granny, before we go on to Blake and let him talk like he does every other week, I heard a malicious rumor that you're on a bearded pickers live the week.
Yeah, I might have appeared in there. I believe that you popped in as well. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I had to make sure that you behaved yourself. But Bearded Picker, we'll put his links down in the description. I can't remember where he was actually from. He's an American reseller. He does a YouTube channel.
I've got a feeling it's Alabama.
All I remember at one stage, they're whipping their guns out trying to shoot us.
Well, I was just about to say it was all going very well, but I did have to duck when the when the gun came out, and they like to get their guns out over there in those states.
So we asked a question about the gun laws, and I suppose the state, what aspires them to carry around pistols and guns. But, I don't really care one way or another, to tell you the truth. And they all just whip them out. It looked like a comedy skit.
Yeah,
I can do that for a future episode if you want. I got mine in the shed in a safe. So bring out your guns and stack them up along the back wall. You wanted decorations for the back wall, so maybe I'll just put all my guns along the back wall.
Yeah.
So I suppose
create a bit of interest.
I was a bit behind the 8 ball. I wasn't expecting to whip out every known firearm under the sun. I could have brought my super soaker out, my water gun.
Well, it kind of like I guess the thing that surprised me was that they had them so easily to hand.
Yeah,
because for us, and as Blake said, like if one of us has got one, it's locked in the gun safe.
It's in a shape. It's safe.
Yeah. Well, that's right. Like flipping ain't easy. John was in there having a chat as well. 1 minute he's talking about his Uber Eats order. Next thing he's got his handgun out. So
yeah.
Maybe that's what it was. He just Uber Eats. It's like a Happy Meal toy or something. You get a pistol.
Maybe.
Yes, but I suppose we better slither onto this week's topic, which is what, Blake?
The BBE, bad buyer experience.
It's been.
I feel like I'm quizzed. I'm being quizzed.
Make sure you're nice. You're not breathing. It's been getting a lot of coverage over in the States. A lot of I think a lot of YouTube channels have potentially, one way or another, probably read too much into it or not read enough into it. Little bit of panicking by some reseller YouTube channels and not enough panicking from others, I suppose you could probably say. But Blake, you haven't read it though, have you?
I've looked a little bit into it, but not a whole heap. I've just listened to a bit of stuff about it, but I don't know. I haven't looked into it a whole lot. I reckon it's a good thing, but we'll get into that later, I guess.
I'll come back to you because Granny's more on top of it than you are by the sounds of it. So,
way more.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of feel like the way they presented it, the way it's presented on the website, is that as you're reading it, like you would think that it does apply to everyone, not just particular areas, which they're saying it's mainly made for Asia and stuff like that. But when you read it, like there's nothing about that right at the start. Like it's it just says this is how you will be evaluated. It tells you the types of things that they're going to evaluate you on to create what they call the evaluation metrics. There you go. Octo, you love metrics. What sort of things you need and what you need to do to work that out. But then apparently a lot of them over there got up in arms about it, and they then contacted reps from eBay itself, and that's when they were told, well, it's not actually going to apply to Americans. John, it's gone. Yeah, Flip It Ain't Easy. He did say that he does believe that it will come, or in some form of it. And look, that's where I stand. I think that it's there's lots about it that's probably a good thing, and I think that regardless of where it's going to be directed to at the moment, I think that it's coming because something like this, and there's things that have appeared on our platform already, like there is Salametrics under the performance tab if anyone hasn't seen it. And I'm actually going to show that in my nugget for today for people that haven't seen it before, because a lot of people don't even know that it's there. And it sort of appeared about 6 months ago, with no fanfare.
And I suppose, getting Granny said a little bit ahead of ourselves, because our 2.5 people that are watching Granny, they probably haven't even heard the BBE unless they're watching American YouTubers. So, like Blake, quite rightly said earlier, is that the BBE is the bad buyer experience. So what I originally thought when I heard that, I thought they were bringing negative feedback back for sellers to, kind of knocking out the bad buyers. That's what I originally took it for. Yeah. But I agree with John in the sense that I do think it's coming. So basically, like Granny was saying, it's for eBay exports and the eBay exports website, which I never knew existed before. John and Josh and a couple of the other people in the States were talking about it. So doing a bit of digging, it's targeting the South Asia market, which is that what would South Asia encompass? Would that be India and around that area? I dare say.
Yeah.
Like I said numerous times, the octopus has failed geography, so apologies in advance if I've offended anyone. So basically, from the 11th of December, it's kicking on, and I have got a screen here that I prepared earlier. So basically, starting the 11th of December, sellers will be evaluated on a number of transactions within the bad buyer experience metric. Those much higher, the peer market averages will be subject to a range of actions, including administratively ending or removing listings. So administratively ending means that eBay will take control and end your listing. So no different to a Vero, right? So if you get a Vero for 7-Eleven, for example, that's administratively ending. They're not at that stage. They're not cancelling your account.
I did think with that, because with a Vero, they actually remove your listing, like it's not there. Whereas this, to me, some of their listings, I think they're going to end, but you'll still obviously be able to relist them at some point.
Because when I get a Vero, it always goes to my unsold listings. So I'm not too sure if that's for everyone.
No.
So that's why
mine have too.
Okay.
So I don't know if that's I'm generally Vero free. It's in probably the last couple of months that I've had 4 on different products, and they've always just gone to the unsold listings. And I haven't tried to relist them or sell similar. So I don't know if there's any warning.
Because I just because because they specifically made the two things, like administratively ending or removing listings. To me, I thought that there's going to be 2 things that they'll do, though. They may end your listing, which means it'll go in the solds, or they may remove your listing, which means you won't be able to relist it again.
Well, it could be. And I think, and I haven't, and I'm sure there's a lot of YouTubers that have covered this, and I haven't come across them, if anyone has said it, is that I kind of get that language maybe because of translational issues. We'll just say hypothetically, and like I said, this is not pinned at anyone in particular. I'm just going to use India as an example, right? So in India, they might, when they talk about bringing listings down, they might be calling it administratively ending. That might be the terminology that eBay India uses for that listing. Whilst in other regions, it might be removing listings. So that's the way I've taken it, to kind of think in the sense of saying, hey, look, let's not have any confusion here. If you do the wrong things, we're going to take your listing down. Either if that's through Granny's language or that's through Blake's language. This is what we're going to do. And what I agree with John is that I think it's coming. And what I want to say this now before I forget to do it, this language is transferable, right? So there's nothing stopping them going copy paste onto an eBay Australia website or an eBay US website or eBay UK or Canada or whatever you are. So that's why I think they've got the language there that is basically kind of, you can't, there's no if but, so this is what we're going to do. So like Granny was saying as well, you've got adjusting your selling limits. So, if you're a new reseller and you've got a monthly limit of 500, you might be brought down to 250 or 100. Holding the payment, that's, we've been susceptible to that before. Enforcing buying or selling restrictions. So not too sure why they'd have buying restrictions. That's an interesting thing.
I wondered about that, whether, it's hard to say, because that, to me, that was sort of, I felt targeted a bit more to the smaller reseller as opposed to someone like that's bigger, that's just, say selling heaps of iPhone cables or, some such. But don't know.
And I kind of wonder myself, if that's, maybe like eBay to eBay arbitrage. If Granny's selling, children's books and I sell children's books, me buying them off Granny to relist them, to sell to an international market or something along that. But that buying restriction is quite curious because, for them bleeding buyers as much as they are, you think that they wouldn't be targeting the buying restrictions unless there's specific reasons for that, and suspending the relevant account. So I would take that to be the case of saying you're done. So, and what I did mention as well before I go too much further is when I was trawling Facebook last week, is I did see a couple of people mention that they had their account suspended, and whilst they didn't say what it was, but if you read between the lines, it kind of sounded like this BBE reasons. Because they say they don't post on time, or we're constantly cancelling orders, which is what the BBE is focusing, right? So I will jump back out of it.
The one thing I didn't notice on there, because currently, like if you've got late shipping, which I don't believe is part of the metrics, is it, late shipping?
I think it is.
I'd be surprised if it wasn't.
Regardless, but I mean, if with late shipping, like if you get over like a 5% amount of dings on your account, you can be charged extra fees. So that was the one thing I thought was interesting. But then I thought afterwards, well, that is already in place. And so, I guess they can just add these other things.
No, Granny's right. So I'm just in there now, and basically significantly not as described. So a SNAD, which I would say that isn't an INAD.
It is an INAD. That's what we know as an INAD. Yeah.
Yeah, and I have heard the word SNAD before. So unless they're using older terminology, because previously, I'll make sure I'm back on the screen. Hello, you can see me again. But previously, when I started selling eBay, like I mentioned previously, back in 2014, when I was selling primarily Lego, was that you had a SNAD and you also had an INAD, where like item not as described and significantly not as described. So for Lego, for example, if I sell a Captain Marvel Lego set, then it arrives crunched up. So that's item not as described because I said the box was pristine. But if I send Iron Man instead of Captain Marvel, that's significantly not as described because it's completely different products. So that's pretty much what it was back then, and that kind of fell off a little bit. I'm not too sure if a lot of people that probably still around the traps, like Twilsy Thrifters and all those different people, might know a little bit better if they've dug a bit further deeper than I have. But from my understanding is that INAD is encompassed. That's NAD is it all falls under that metric now. So
I believe so. Because when you look at the description, things like doesn't work or defective. I mean, that's what we get under an INAD. Doesn't match the description or photos. So to me, that's no different than the INAD. Wrong item sent, missing parts or pieces. Arrived damaged, doesn't seem authentic, doesn't fit my vehicle. So all those things will come into play. And, with the vehicle thing, I think that's probably going to be an issue for them, like whether or not the metrics will be slightly different for people that are working, like reselling in the car section. But, you would think that would be a much bigger concern for them with the not fitting their vehicle.
Yeah, and
I think that's easily done.
Well, that's so much. That's something that spoke my interest as well. You into vehicles, Blake? Do you build cars? You look like kind of a car builder.
No,
he's useless. Look at him.
No, I'm not. But most of my family does, but not me.
No, you just look like it. You're just not talented.
I do my own car repairs where I can.
But I walk into Super Cheap Auto and I'll rephrase. I slither into Super Cheap Auto and look for things. And being the quite agile and smart octopus I am, instead of consulting the part list, I'll just grab the random window wipers and hope for the best. But the fact of the matter is that's on me. What happens if, like you said that you order the part that's for the wrong model and that's your fault as the buyer? Then then all of a sudden it doesn't fit your vehicle and then that person gets hit with a ding. And it kind of makes me think to myself: is this policy being targeted towards countries that might necessarily make genuine products? They might be making, second or what do they call it, generic products. So we might buy, a Mitsubishi Outlander window wiper from that product from that person, it might necessarily be proper because it's not made the specifications or stuff along the lines of that. So.
Yeah, and it kind of makes it a bit tough too if that's the case, because like I know in my situation with my car's probably getting on a bit, and it's when I needed to get an actuator part, the locking mechanism for my door, it was actually quite hard to find an original part. So there were lots of different replacements I could get that were new, but yeah, I wanted to get the original one because I knew that would work. But yeah, I had to get a second-hand one, of course. But yeah, the new ones, it was a bit harder to tell whether if I got it would fit because they look completely different. So yeah, that is a bit of a concern there with people with older vehicles.
Yeah, but yeah, I suppose it's. Yeah, I suppose my takeaway from reading that it's coming, right? I agree with John, and I'm not too sure what Josh's stance on was, but I'm pretty sure you're similar to John's as well. But I think,
I think John's view is that regardless of whether it comes in or not, these are all things that we should be doing to try and, we should be making sure that as much as possible, none of these things happen to our accounts anyway, regardless of whether it's coming or not, because that's how we should be looking after our customers.
That's right. Because Blake sells across different platforms, and you said, Blake, that you've pretty much left, quite a considerable paying job to do eBay. A program or a system coming in like this, it could potentially cripple your business, couldn't it? If you fell over sick for a week or something along the lines of that.
Yeah, it's possible for sure.
Yeah, because if Lisa's working full time, you don't particularly want to be lumping the eBay stuff on her as well. So
no, absolutely not. Yeah, no, it could definitely be a sticky situation for a few people, but
yeah. And I think when you go through what they're going to evaluate on, I guess the biggest concern for me is the last two. So you've got low detailed seller ratings, low DSR. So when you get the person goes in and ticks the little stars to say on each type of thing about their transaction, if they give you a low score on those things, whether they think it wasn't the right color, so they give you a 3 instead of a 5 for the item as described, or postage was slow. They think postage was slow, even though it had to go from Victoria to Western Australia, they could still mark that down a little bit too. And so that all comes back to what the buyer's opinion is. And that's very subjective, the buyer's opinion. And then the last one, which is number 4, which is being left a neutral or a negative feedback. Now, I can understand it with the negative feedback, but the neutral, not so much. Like I've had 2 neutrals in the last few weeks, both of which I've had removed because they're quite obviously the person had accidentally ticked on neutral instead of positive because their comments were amazing. Like, they were spurting off how wonderful the thing was in the comments, but yet they left a neutral feedback. And, that's a bit of a concern that's also neutral as well as negative is going to be taken into account.
Yeah, I agree for sure. Because a neutral's just sort of like a meh. Like you might get your item and you're happy with it, but you're not jumping out of your skin. So you're like, okay, I don't feel here nor there. Sort of that's sort of neutral. But with the seller rating, I reckon that 3's pretty harsh actually, because 3's average. It's right in the middle. It's an average rating. So I don't think you should get punished.
Above average, isn't it? Really? If it's out of 5, 3 should be above average. I think.
Yeah.
That's right. I agree with Blake. I think 3 is a very heavy-handed comment, but I think, is there really grounds for a neutral anymore? To me, that's either a positive or a negative experience, right? I kind of agree with Blake in the sense of saying, hey, look, you're never jumping for joy. And, some people are, very hard to please. You could send, a block of gold for free, wrap it up and all these different things. And they'll still leave you a neutral comment because to them, it was just a neutral transaction. To me, every transaction is neutral, unless if you throw in a free pony or you throw in a free Ferrari, that's a positive experience. but if it's actually getting paid for.
Yeah, and the other thing is too, some people will leave a neutral feedback because if they haven't left a feedback, they get emails from eBay asking them to complete the feedback. Some people just don't want to leave feedback, and that's fine. I'd rather not get feedback than get, a neutral or a negative. But some people will go in there just to stop those emails arriving And because they're pissed off with eBay for sending them these reminders, they could very easily leave a neutral, couldn't they?
Well, that's exactly right. Like, have you ever had that happen to you, Blake?
Yeah, for sure. They annoy the crap out of me. I get the emails all the time, sort of thing, but I don't leave feedback for most people because I feel neutral about it. But I'm not going to, like, there's one that I got the other day. I shopped through someone's store when they're having like an 80% off sale, and I got a heap of stuff to resell and stuff, and a lot of the stuff was significantly worse than I thought it was going to be. It wasn't a negative experience, but it certainly wasn't positive. So if I wasn't, a nice guy that doesn't like getting neutrals and negatives myself, I'll probably, if I was just a regular person that bought something off eBay, I'd probably rate it in neutral because I wasn't feeling, too.
But I suppose here's a going off the garden path for you, Leanne and Blake. Do you think that resellers are more inclined to leave negative and neutral feedback? Because I'm the same as Blake, and I can't remember what Leanne said. I don't have an affinity with leaving feedback unless like I said, unless it was spectacular or I personally know the person. If I drop ship off Leanne or I drop ship off Blake, I'll leave them positive feedback as soon as they ship it, or negative if they don't ship it quick enough. But but the fact of the matter is that you see in Facebook groups, like, and I've seen this numerous times, and this is not to put everyone in the same boat, but like I'll use Leanne for example, is that I can't believe this person left me a negative feedback, blah, 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 blah. Then you go through the history for Leanne on that Facebook page. Oh, I had this seller and, they were a pain. They didn't ship it for a day later than I was expecting it. I left them negative feedback. You kind of think to myself, and I see it so often. Like, and this is what I'm quite curious to see, if resellers do have that spite in them, I suppose, just to see if they, what do you think, Leanne and Blake?
Yeah, I don't think everyone does. I think most of us, I think the majority of us don't. We accept that people perhaps may not do things perhaps as well as we personally do them or the same, to the same level that we do them. So I think most of us are fairly okay with that, knowing that different people do it reselling for different reasons. And, you may not be buying off someone that's doing it full time, and that aren't up on the, whole best buyer experience type thing. But I think there's two categories of people as sellers that would leave it, resellers that would leave negative feedback. And one is if it would have to be a really bad experience, I think, because, you're judging it against how you would do something. And you just think that's not up to scratch. But then there's another group of people that because it doesn't meet their standards of how they do it, they'll just automatically say, well, that's negative. Like, they haven't done it. They didn't put it in a plastic bag inside the padded mailer or, silly, or they didn't give me a thank you card. That's pretty pathetic. I take the effort to go and, there are people like that, but I think that's a small percentage.
Yeah, and I think that the thank you card was the exact reason why I brought it up for. I just couldn't remember what it was, but that's what it was. That fictitious Leanne was quite upset that this person didn't give her a thank you card and a message to say thank you for your for your order. So she left a negative feedback, and there was another one. It wasn't this fictitious Leanne, but she left negative feedback because it was supposed to ship today, but she shipped it tomorrow, but it still arrived on time. But she left a negative feedback. What about you, Blake? What's your thoughts on it?
Personally, I like Leanne said, like, unless it's god awful, I don't think most people will leave it. But honestly, when it comes to that sort of stuff, like, I think that most resellers should know better in a way because they know how damaging that can be to another person's account. So, like, I don't think, like for me, like, I wouldn't, even if that stuff was absolute crap and I had to return it or something like that, I still wouldn't leave a neutral or a negative feedback because I wouldn't want to destroy his business for a couple of days. Like, it's not, and it can be so damaging for an account that I don't think, unless you're a huge account, but I think for the most part, it can be really damaging. So I think that most resellers should sort of know better than to do that unless they are spiteful, which I don't think many people are. But there certainly is. Like you said, I see it in the Facebook group all the time.
I was very spiteful when I left negative feedback for my car park seller. I'll tell you that much. But,
I just won't do it. But
yeah. Well, I'm the same, but I think maybe it's just because of the Facebook groups and those are the people that interact in those Facebook groups are quite a very subsection or a very small market of what the reseller is. So that data's probably skewed. But like I said, that if someone next time that you are in a YouTube, in a Facebook group, just have a look at, click on the person, especially if they're, I suppose, making a complaint or, whinging about something, all those different things. Click back on their history, and I can guarantee you they've probably done the exact same thing to someone else.
Yeah.
And, like I said, it took me by surprise, actually, and I was quite curious to see what you both, but like Blake.
There's also that other little thing too, because it's kind of not fair. Like, we can't leave that negative feedback for a buyer, right? Which is hard. So I think perhaps that might come into play too. If someone's had bad experiences with buyers themselves, and then something comes up that's gone amiss with something they've purchased, they might be more inclined to leave a negative feedback as a way of, payback for it all.
That's right. Like you said, they could have been having a bad day. They could have got a negative feedback themselves if it warranted or otherwise. But I'm yet to find a reseller that has come across a negative feedback that's warranted. There has been times that I've made a genuine mistake, or probably cut corners, not in the last week, but probably years ago, that I've cut corners where I kind of, I used to send Lego sets in bubble wrap of poster boxes. And I thought, well, I'll just skimp on, one layer of bubble wrap, or use 2 layers of bubble wrap instead of 4 or something along that. The box will arrive smashed, then get a negative feedback, and then, throw my tentacles in the air and chuck a tan to you. But, when you kind of think to yourself, well, you've got no one to blame but yourself, because, you brought that onto it. And I think that's why this bad buyer experience plays in, because, a lot of the stuff here is common sense, right? So what Blake was saying, what Leanne was saying is that, and what Blake was saying before the chat, before we started, recording, was that, he's glad that's coming, and I am to a point as well. But I suppose what my stance is, and I think that we need it, because there's a lot of rogue people out there doing their own things, but eBay won't publicize this very well, right? Because just hypothetically, it could be in fact now, we just don't know it, right? But the fact of the matter is you got a lot of eBay sellers coming onto place, like Liam was saying, that they don't do it full time, or they're not professional resellers, or they just basically found something like this. If they get their account shut down, or they get whacked over the hand, or saying, look, your listing's not up to par, we're going to take it down, they're going to have the shits with eBay, and they're going to say, well, this is it, I'm done with eBay. And there's another customer gone. So, instead of basically giving them, the appropriate resources, and I think I have heard YouTubers and other people in the community say this before, is that eBay almost needs to run workshops, have tutorial videos, or once a month, hey, look, welcome to eBay, then basically have an interactive workshop where people can ask questions, and this is how you're listing, or this is what we look at, or hey guys, this is the Vero list, and this is what you need to look out for. Just elaborate on these things, and it's well and good to treat sellers like the villains, and be very customer centric, but like we said numerous times, we are eBay's customers, and they're not doing the extra legwork to make sure people aren't making the mistakes.
One thing I think that would actually be a great thing, sort of going back to the feedback side of thing, is I reckon it should be a prerequisite. Like, they shouldn't have access to leaving, poor, neutral, or negative feedback until they've contacted the seller.
Yeah,
and if they did that, I think that'd solve a lot of things, because I know most sellers, like especially myself, that will do whatever we need to do to sort of avoid that kind of thing, and to help resolve the situation. Like, the most of the feedback I get is positive, but I don't get many negatives, but I get neutrals, quite a fair bit. They never contact me, and I get it removed straight away, because they never contact me, and I've got free returns and all that kind of stuff, and it gets removed, which is great. But it'd help get rid of a lot of that stuff if eBay did sort of make buyers contact the seller first to come to a resolution. And I think that'd help a lot. But they don't do that.
as much as I agree with you on that, Blake, I'll play devil's advocate, right? Because I can see exactly as a fellow world domination person or aspiring octopus, I can tell you what eBay is thinking in this perspective, right? They're probably looking at the factors that it's going to cost more money to implement the system like that, like for obviously to make sure that the checks and balances line up, or alternatively that this customer is so irate, or they're so annoyed or so pissed off with this transaction not going the way they wanted to. That if eBay says, hey, look, Leanne, I know you're angry, or look, Blake, I know you're angry, you need to reach out to the octopus and say, state your case. As an angry customer, I'm not going to do that. Like, yeah, I'd rather go, well, shove it up your ink pipe. I'm going to go somewhere else. Yeah, I'm not going to buy on eBay because they put a barrier in for me to vent my frustrations. Like, and that's all it is. And like Blake said, they remove it. And unlike in the States, I'm not too sure about the UK, we don't have a protection program. We've got seller protections, but from what my takeaway from watching podcasts and watching a lot of US content is that if you're top rated plus, if you do your returns, your free returns in all these different other places, and if they do leave you a negative feedback, you can just call and have it removed under your seller protections or all those different things. Sometimes it's like getting blood out of a stone to get negative feedback removed because what's a buyer's experience? And it's like, the comment's positive. Like it's fantastic, neutral, or fantastic, negative. And you kind of think to yourself, well, it goes against what the feedback system is.
Well, and what there's sort of been a bit of a flowing in the groups and things that I've sort of seen of late of people telling other people, like when they're brought up, should I try and get that removed? And they say, well, don't bother because they won't remove it. That's becoming the attitude. We think that it's not worthwhile trying, but it is worthwhile because, like, I have had two removed.
Yeah, for sure. The two I've got sitting on my account at the moment is before I really knew how the whole system worked, and they would have definitely been removed. But I didn't do it in time, obviously. But the ones I've had recently, not one of them have stuck, and I've just harped on the whole seller protection crap. Every time I'm talking to them, I'm like, help me. Where's my seller protection?
Because both Blake and Leanne have reached out to me, and not personally, but when they've had neutral feedback or negative feedback, they say, hey, look, this joke has left this feedback and all these different things. But I suppose that I'll go against the grain here. If I've actually done something incorrect, or done something wrong, I'll leave the feedback there. And I'll reply to it. Because and I've said this numerous times before, right? Like the feedback's only cosmetic. It's that 100% score or your 100% feedback and all those different things. It's only cosmetic. If you go back to that listing, so I had a neutral left for a board game that I sold 99% complete because one part was missing. I had that listed 16 times through the listing and the title and everywhere else. And the feedback was one part missing. I was like, did you not? But I had that removed because that was not my fault. But the fact of the matter is I replied to it and said, hey, look, if you as per the listing, listing title, listing description, all these different things, it did say that one piece was missing. Please reach out if we can assist further. Because these people, like I said before, these people are pissed off at the time. They're not gonna reach out. Like, that's what I kind of put that in the reply comment, because then I suppose what I found, if I have to have that removed, is eBay can say, well, that's kind of almost like an effort to reach out to the person and say, hey, let's rectify it, kind of thing. But like I said, when I first started selling under the Octopus, I sold some really dodgy Wii games. I marked them as acceptable, but they probably should have been trashed instead of acceptable, right? But they're still working. I list them as heavily scratched and acceptable and all these different things. But and people left neutral feedback saying scratched a lot more than they should have been, or something along lines of that. But but I was happy to wear that because I didn't actually take a photo of the disc. Like I didn't take a photo of the underside of the disc to say, hey, look how scratched it is. So that person couldn't make an educated guess or educated decision as to they wanted to purchase that $9 Mario Kart disc when they'll go for $40 or something like that. So like I said.
I don't have a problem accepting the fact if I've done something wrong, because that would never happen.
I have a problem with it. I have a problem with it. Even if I've done something wrong, I'll still try and get it removed.
You're still going to try and get it removed, but I'm just saying I would be quite accepting of the fact that they've left it. It wouldn't make me angry because it's my fault.
Oh, no. Well, I was the same with one that I've got sitting there. The zip was broken. I didn't pick up on it because I didn't test the zip. That's my fault. I'm not going to be mad about it. It was an oversight. I told them that, but they still left it neutral, but I don't really care too much.
I suppose what it comes down to, right? Like, and it comes down to, I think, yes, it does hurt your account for a couple of days. If you get a negative feedback, and like Blake was saying, if you are a smallish seller, like if you are doing, I suppose I've got like 1,400 listings at the moment, and a negative or a neutral will hit me around for about 2 days. Like my sales will just fall off a cliff. So I'd be quite curious to see what level you have to get to before, it doesn't have any effect to your account. But the fact that, like I was saying before, it's all cosmetic though, because if you go back to that transaction and your sold listings, you'll actually see that the negative or the neutral button still highlighted in that stance. Like, that's still attached to your account. That, eBay is just going, all right, Leanne's whinging or Blake's whinging again. I'll just take it off. They can have the 100% feedback. But if you start digging through, you'll have that negative and that neutral still come up.
Yeah, that's right.
But it's an opportunity for you to learn. Like, and this is what I suppose we want to get into now, is that we're not really focusing this part of the episode onto like seasoned sellers or people that have been doing it for a long time. Or maybe we should. There's a lot of people that especially it's a bad mouth the Facebook groups again and Reddit groups that I've come across as well, is that these people and they always start with, I've been selling since 2016, and they make the stupidest mistake. Like, you can't make this stuff up. Like, I sent it in a McDonald's bag, like you get through the drive-through and they put a complaint in because I didn't wrap it properly or something like this. You kind of think to yourself, oh, you should know better if you've been selling this long, or all these different things. But I think what Blake was saying earlier is that you need to look at these bad buyer. What was it called again, Blake? I've forgotten.
Bad buyer experience.
That's right, the experience.
That's about all I know about it. Is what it's called.
But like I would go as far to say, like I'll put a link to the bad buyer experience page in the description below. But what I would suggest is, and I'm pretty sure Granny will be on board for this as well. Print it off, put it next to your computer, and use it as a checklist. That hey, look, these are the things potentially, and you're ahead of the curve, right? Like, because I agree 100% with flipping out easy that this thing's going to come, one way or another, right? eBay is not going to go out of the way and implement and spend all that money just focusing on one very small point of the eBay market. They're going to come after us. So where Australia is normally the testing ground, I dare say South Asia, wherever that countries they encompasses.
I would think so. I kind of feel that we are. And look, the thing being that it gives them a policy. Like, they have individual policies for, like, as we were talking about, if you get over 5% with late postage, you get charged this extra fee, right? So that's its own little policy, but not attached to anything. So there's no actual one policy that says if you are a bad enough seller for too many times, we can suspend you. There's nothing like that. So I think that the good part of this to help them get rid of those really bad sellers is that it's actually giving them a policy that says, right, if you do this, we'll do this, then we'll do this, then we'll do this, and then finally we're going to suspend you. So it's laying it all out.
So I would argue that there is a policy. It's just probably we're not aware of it, right? Because there is.
But I think it's broken up into separate.
So basically, but you're right. They're probably cleaning it up because when I first opened my account, right, I got an MC11, which is a account suspension, just by virtue, because, and this is what it came back to, what the eBay not communicating, because I jumped on my other account because I couldn't contact the customer service agent through the Octopus account. So I jumped on my other account, went to the customer service center, and they said, we closed your account because we needed identification of who you are. And that's all it was. At no point in this email saying, hey, look, we restricted or we suspended your account, suspended my account because they needed me to provide a driver's license and let them know what I'm looking at selling. So nothing, there's nowhere in the terms and conditions saying that you can't open a sequential account for a different a lot of people say about it all the time, that have an account that sells this niche or have an account that sells everything else, all these different things. And that's all I did. I created an account. It wasn't created in Australia, so it wasn't under VPNs or dodgy or anything along with that. Suspended it overnight. Then I had to, like I said, jump through so many hoops through my other account to have it reinstated. And 15 minutes later, it was back with all the listings, all those different things. So, like I was saying, the eBay needs to communicate better. eBay needs to, like I said, run those seller workshops once a month, once every 3 months, and busy periods. People, will probably normally gravitate to eBay in October, December, and January. That first 3 months of the new year, because they're like, hey, well, I've seen all these advertisements on the TV saying that you can sell these things and make lots of money. I'll just do that. Then, like I said, they're creating problems. But what Granny was saying as well, like we're charging the extra fees for like shipping and all those different things. I kind of think to myself, is that another cash grab from eBay? It's 5% now, but next week, oh look, we've brought in the BBE. It's now 3%, or it's now 2%, or it's now 1%. All these different things.
it's becoming, like a case of what are they going to charge us for next? Like, I actually
That's
had
right.
someone in the Discord this morning ask, sort of say to me, about the AI during the description and said, oh, I guess they'll charge us for that, like basically somewhere down the track, it's almost like everything they can that they're going to charge us for. But yeah, look, I guess the other thing that I wanted to bring up with this BBE though, is probably the frequency. Everyone needs to be aware of how often you are going to be evaluated, because that's a bit different to what we believe happens now, because it takes,
That's what shocks me.
Yeah. So, every Wednesday you'll get evaluated.
Yeah, so that's over the last 12 weeks as well.
Yeah. Yes. So it's not only just what's going forward, it's the previous 12 weeks. Yeah, and that's a bit of an issue. So it actually says 12-week period commencing on the last Saturday before the last week of the evaluation date. For example, where the evaluation date is the Wednesday, the 13th of December, we will review all your transactions during the period commencing Sunday, the 10th of September and ending Saturday, the 2nd of December. So if that's your date, then they will evaluate you like every Wednesday for that.
Yeah. And it could be that, like we spoke about before, is that this market or this eBay export market may be highly volatile. Then might be like, full of gunslingers and people doing their own things and just completely, lack of a better word, a shit fight for eBay, right? So they might be, trying to do all those different things. So if it does roll out in Australia, but do I think it's going to be on a weekly basis? No, I don't. I probably reckon it will be probably in line with the monthly basis that they do. Like, I think they do it around about the 15th of the month. They do an evaluation.
Yeah.
But, I wouldn't be surprised. Like I said, if it's a copy and paste program where they just copy copy that from there into Australia and US and UK, it could be on a weekly basis. And I think, like we were talking about before, is that you need to be on top of this stuff. Like Blake was saying, is it's welcome because you'll get rid of a lot of your dodgy sellers, but a lot of your dodgy sellers are probably new resellers that have no idea what they're doing. They got this thing for Christmas that they want to sell it, and they don't know they need to sell it. Send it off within 3 days or within 2 days or whatever it is. So.
And I think you're quite right there. And I think there needs to be, it's a pity there wasn't some sort of like little beginner course, I guess, for want of a better word, like that you have to go through before you're actually able to list something and sell it, so that you actually know some of the, and it doesn't have to be big. It's just a little thing that would give you the very, say the top 10 things that you need to know to sell on eBay. And I mean, look, there's lots of YouTube videos that say that sort of thing, but there would be things that people should actually need to know before they start reselling on eBay. Most people won't look into that beforehand. I mean, I absorbed lots of content and did a lot of research before I even started. So by the time I actually listed my first thing, I was ready to go because I knew. But most people won't. They'll think, oh yeah, I'll sell that. And then they go and try and fill the listing out.
Well, that's right.
You
go first, mate. Sorry.
Even Poshmark did that before they died and fell into the abyss. They even did that. They had almost like a video seminar thing, and then every month or so they used to offer like a workshop kind of thing. And especially when they implemented the live selling and stuff like that, I got an invite to do a seminar and teach you how to do it. I think I even got one that invited them to be in my first live stream while I did it, sort of thing. So they had some sort of communication of here's how you sell on Poshmark, and eBay doesn't really give you a whole lot.
and I think, like, contrary to let's throw back to what I said earlier about the negative feedback, right? Like, people are inherently lazy, and I said that, and that's going to piss off a lot of people, right? But if it came to me that I can't open up an eBay account and sell things before doing like a 2-hour tutorial course, I'm probably just going, well, won't worry about it. I'll go sell on Depop or I'll go sell on a different platform, right? Yeah. But I think where I'd probably draw the line is that, hey, Leanne, you've been doing all these metrics incorrect. You're looking really bad. You've been closing a lot of things. We're giving you two things. We're going to suspend your account permanently, or you can do this rectification course, which takes you about half a day, and then basically that's your last chance once you've done that course. You kind of give people, dangle that carrot and say, hey, look, you're not a dodgy seller. You're just like, I suppose you've not really got your head wrapped around what you're supposed to be doing on an eBay platform. And like we were talking about earlier, do voluntary workshops like Poshmark, what Blake was just saying there. But give people like, especially if they've just cancelled orders, or they shipped things a couple of bits too late and they've gone below standard, like we had on the Halloween special. We had Maz that was talking about that kind of stuff.
Well, gee, when you go over 0.05 alcohol level here in Australia, you get to go and do a course, don't you, before you get to drive again? So, they do it in that for those sort of things. Anger management courses, if you, do a violent sort of break the law in a violent way. So, the fact that they're doing it in that circle, it would be seemingly to be a good thing to put into something like this, wouldn't it?
Yeah, you think there's some sort of corrective action to say, hey, look, maybe you might be a 103-year-old grandmother that doesn't know how to use eBay and that you have to go to the post office in a day. Like, people agree to things, but they don't understand the ramifications of those things. Like, their grandchild, or they might have read on Facebook, go, all right, just click on same-day postage or 2-day postage, because you'll get the sale a lot quicker if you make it than 7 days or something lines of that. And they don't understand the reasoning behind it, because that's not because they're stupid, but it might be because they're not au fait with it. They're not on top of how this system works, and if there's any consequences, like that not everyone's like us, where we're like, oh, we've done same day, we get our stuff packaged up the night before and off we go, or that morning and off we go. They mightn't have the intentions of especially people that are like limited in mobility. They might go, well, I've only got a car on a Thursday and it's Monday, I can't go to the post office until Thursday. But they've been listening in the Facebook groups, and they got told to make it the same day, don't worry about it, there's no ramification, and they sell like 6 or 7 items in a day. Then all of a sudden their metrics hit that bad limit. But like I was saying, is that if eBay had like a system where they could bring in and say, hey, look, you're a bit of a shit fight, but we still love you. Can we get you to do this course? So either you can go below standard and pay the extra 5% and literally have no chance of crawling your way back, or alternatively, we can give you another chance. We'll make you do this, this course for half a day. Once it's been done, you'll go back to above standard, or you won't get the fees attached to you, or something along that. But if you do it again, you're gone. Kind of have that initiative to do these courses, because like I say, whilst I agree wholeheartedly with what Blake was saying with Poshmark, because I think that sounds like a fantastic idea, a lot of people are time poor. They just want to slap their item on eBay, and they want to basically all they care about is slapping it up on there and selling it. They don't care about posting it out. They don't care if it gets there. All they see is the money. They just hear the cha-ching sound, and that's all they care about, right? Like, where as a full-time eBay seller or as a professional reseller, you do care about all those parts of the mechanism. Yeah. So, and I think that's probably what eBay's eventual downfall is going to be, is that they're alienating all the different levels of sellers. Like, especially if they bring this system in, like the full-time resellers that don't want competition will be happy, because you get rid of the people that have no idea what they're doing. But then the people that don't no idea what they're doing, maybe their sell-through rate, just say they're 1% sellers and they're 99% buyers. Oh, eBay's annoyed me, I'm not going back there, I'll go shop on Amazon, or I'll go shop on whatever website they've got. Then you've lost another buyer. So it's a vicious circle that's going around. So.
Very true. Very true.
But at least if they had something like not necessarily like a course or a seminar or something like that, but even just a document, like a PDF or something that's like an optional, here you go, here's this, if you want, it's a voluntary, an optional elective thing you can do, whatever. At least if they've got that there, that almost gives themselves something to fall back on too. Because if people are messing up and they're cracking the shits because they've done this and that wrong, it's like, well, we had the opportunity to do this and you chose not to. So that's on you as well. So
And I don't think it would take much to create like a page where you can actually just tick the box, answer the question. You get multiple choice answers and just tick the box.
What's right? Because they got community posts, right? They got eBay community pages, and they got all these different things. But it's no different to Facebook, right? Like, I don't know how closely they're moderated, but Reddit posts and Facebook posts, I even see YouTubers like, I reached out to the CS and they're full of crap because they told me this and that's incorrect. It's like, well, I would take an incorrect statement from a customer service agent over someone on Facebook that has no idea what they're doing, because at least you've got the transcript from when the customer service agent wrote to you and said, hey, look, you can do this. Well, when I get my account suspended or I get a negative feedback, just bring up the chat transcript and say, hey, look, Leanne on this date told me this thing. This is on you, eBay. Like, you can't backtrack from this. They probably try and will, but you've got a lot more ground to stand on than when, if you're listening to Blake in the Facebook group that has no idea what he's doing because he's just, he's having an off day as well or something along the lines of that. So. Yeah.
So should we actually run through the things that they want us to do, like what they're saying you should do under the policy? So I just thought it might be a good idea because, I mean, it's just a few point forms. So what they're actually expecting from sellers to make sure that they are not, down further, Octo, right underneath, what you need to do, I thought. So essentially this is what they're asking you to do, okay? Be accurate and detailed. Use images that are sharp and clear. List down all the product specifications clearly. Include the size and measurements to prevent any misconception. Not that the buyer's going to read them, but, we'll include them anyway. Add in the usage guidelines. And, I think this is a big one. Be honest about the condition of your item. State all the flaws and imperfections like scratches, discoloration, and dents, if any, for used items. And that's particularly important for us as, basically secondhand goods dealers. Manage inventory and end out of stock listings in time so that you're not, selling something that you've already sold. And ship items within your specified handling time. So that's essentially and that's not very many points, but that's what they're saying. To be a good seller, that's what you need to do.
That's right. And like we were saying earlier, is that maybe you need to print this out or write it down and have like a little checklist next to your computer screen or next to your shipping station, or your listing station, whatever you have, if you're that fancy. But like Leanne was saying, with seller condition, I kind of subscribe to the fact where a lot of YouTubers say that mark it down. If it's very good condition, put it as good, or if it's excellent condition, put it as good, or something like that. Like, unless it's brand new and factory sealed and completely flawless, put it down as very good or new, whatever it is from there. But like I said, always work your way down, because then when people get it, they're happier because it's in a better condition than what they were expecting.
And I think that I mean, for me, with the stuff that I deal with, like books in particular, and vinyl records, like I'm always going to grade them down, because then the customer's exceptionally happy when they get it. But also, I mean, they can see the photos and determine for themselves what the quality is, but I don't. I mean, it's just so interpretive and individual to each person, because your idea of what's going to be good, it may not be the same way I see good.
Yeah, and I know what one of the comments is going to be. Like, it's like, well, eBay explains, details what it is. But if you actually read in those detailed things, please refer to seller's description for other faults. So that's what eBay's get out of jail free card is that you say, well, in accordance with your acceptable or in accordance with your good or very good conditioning, that's what that product is. Well, you didn't disclose that this. They've always got a fail safe, right? Like, And I have seen it a couple of times, and we have mentioned previously, is that with that manage your inventory, that I'll sell something 6 months ago, and all of a sudden it's back in my store for some reason. Like that I then you'll sell it again. It has to you have to go to Terapeak just to look where it's sold in the last 12 months, and you'll find you were sold 6 or 8 months ago, and how the hell did it materialize back into the store?
Yeah, that happened to me. So luckily, it's only happened once, but it happened to me with the one and only Xbox game, like the one and only console game I've ever sold, I think, on eBay. And it happened, and I only had the one. And then when it came up again the second time, this is like 8 months later. It's popped up, and I've like gone, oh, that's good. That's in the drawer in there. I'm really glad that's sold, because I went into the drawer in there. It's not there. And that would have been the only place it could be. And so that made me think, oh, actually, I think I kind of remember I might have already sold that and went back. And had a look and sure enough.
And have you done that before, Blake, or is that just exclusive?
Well, I did my stock take last week, and I found 18 listings that have already sold that are back in my store. And and that could have happened. I did the stock take because it happened to me twice in the matter of 3 days. I sold something that had already been sold previously, and it was annoying. I thought it would be me having already sold it on Depop or Poshmark, but it wasn't the case. There'd been ones from months ago. Like they'd have SKUs of like 100 or 200 that's been there that whole time, and there was 18 more that could have happened to. And if they'd all sold within a week, well, my account's probably nearly gone, isn't it? So
and I suppose that from my like from what I've seen, right, a lot of people. This is not just isolated to Granny, Blake, and myself. You watch any YouTuber and you'll see the same thing, right? Yes, there are mistakes that happen, but I think people might be inclined to say, "Hey, well, look, you do the nuclear reset, or you do the hay for ourselves reset every 4 days, whatever it is." That the fact of the matter is, if it's 0 on the product listing, so if you've got quantity 0, when you end sell similar, that's gone forever, that listing, right? So that doesn't come back as materializes as a 1 or a 2 or all those different in that process. That 0 listing disappears because there's no product to relist because there's nothing in stock. I'm quite curious, and like I said, it happens to a lot of YouTubers. Like, you could probably get any reselling YouTuber, and they'll probably say, "Hey, look, I sold this item again this weekend. I sold it 6 months ago, or I sold it 12 months ago," and they'll have spreadsheets with line by line item where they've said, like 006, Prada jeans or something like this, sold on eBay on the 22nd of February. Then all of a sudden that item sells again. So I kind of think to myself, is the algorithm refreshing? Like doing a backup in certain points of time onto people's stores. And, with failing having to do a stock take every time you sell something double, like Blake was saying, 18 things out of his store. Because you're floating around about 1,000, aren't you, Blake?
Yeah, well, 836 now. Yeah.
Yeah, because, that's,
which is a significant chunk.
Well, that's right. Well, that's probably 1%, almost 2% of your store.
Close to it.
And that's the metric. If you had if they were in highly desirable items, that you're done. And I think that Leanne and I spoke about this before, and I think I mentioned with the initial reset one we did, if you've got multi-variation listings, I strongly suggest about cancelling them and sell similar, because that will reset it back to the original sale. Because I have done that previously with Skylanders, where I've ended in sell similar, and Skylanders that I've only ever had one of have materialized back in the quantity of 1 or 2 whatever they originally were. So be very careful of that. So like I said, it is in the system to do that. If it's eBay, quite possibly. What's she doing? Hang on, Blake.
Well, I'm gonna sadly put my hand up and say I've joined the ranks of the sellers that have accidentally deleted some listings. Luckily, it was only 60, but it hurts.
60? Did you? Oh God. Yeah, I haven't done that, thankfully. That would hurt.
Are you both resetting your stores? Or Leanne by the sounds of it. But you, Blake?
What, right now?
Yeah.
Or no, not right now. No.
No, I mean, like, you're still doing the reset though.
I'm still doing the reset, but I'm actually going to stop doing it because I really haven't seen much of an improvement at all.
So I've stopped since
doing it.
I've stopped since we last spoke, which when we record last Tuesday, I think.
Yes.
Tuesday last week was the last day that I've actually done the reset.
And so how do you think? So, that's what I'm interested in. I mean, I've still been doing it, and what I intended to do was start to go to every second day. And then after a week, I was going to then go to every third day and just wind it down like that. So you just stopped. So what effect do you think that had, just stopping? Did it seem to have an effect?
I really, like I said before, it's that 2 days after that, I had, very high days. Like I had, 750, which is quite low to what I was previously around Q4. Like I said, I kind of strongly believe that eBay is capping our sales at a certain level. So I had I suppose high.
But you would wonder why.
Well, that's right. That's exactly right. Maybe I should start sending things out. But I really, like I said, that what I did notice with doing the daily reset was my sell-through rate crashed. Where I normally had a sell-through rate about 4 to 6%. Like my Lego store was about 7 or 8% when that was running, right? My Octopus store used to float around about 3.5 to 5%, depending on what kind of products I had in it. It was 1.1% at the moment, which is very low for sell-through rate. And that's what it was doing. And it's creeping up since I've stopped doing the reseller. So I'd be quite curious to see how, if you're doing, Blake said he stopped as well, but if you're doing it on a daily basis, I'd be quite curious to see how your sell-through rate's been affected by that. Because, the thing is, it's boosting traffic. It's giving you artificial traffic. It's giving you all those page views, but they're not converting. So before you're only getting maybe 5-page reviews, and one of those 5 pages would convert, so you had a sell-through rate of 20%. But now you're getting, maybe 1,000 artificial views and only 3 products.
Oh yeah, definitely.
So then it just plummets from there. So that's something that I don't think people have raised, and that's what I've noticed. So
well, that's where I'm going to go on. I'm not going to go on a rant or anything, but looking at my metrics and stuff, they're actually all down since I started doing the daily one. Like the impressions and page views and stuff, they're up. But in terms of, conversion rate, sold items, all that sort of stuff, it has actually tapered right off. And it is that sort of artificial, as you say, impressions, but it's not really fixing it. And one thing I had wondered about it, and the reason I was hesitant to do it in the first place, is because the longer it's on the platform, it has a chance to gather data and actually spend, actually time in there for eBay to figure out what your item is. If you change it and resetting it every day, then it loses a lot of that. It loses a lot of the sales history. And like, obviously, if it's a one-off item, it doesn't have sales history, but it has time to sort of, ferment on the platform a little bit and sit there and, ripen up a little bit. And, that's one thing I noticed, is that it got rid of all of that. Which I think is, you're getting that initial boost, but it's not quality stuff.
I mean, I think it, for me, and looking at what it's done for for having done it for the month that I've done it, it's been good because it has got a lot of the older stuff out of my store that wasn't being seen. And I guess that's made me realize, one of the big things that made me realize was that I need to be more on top of the age of my items. And so when they do get to a certain point, maybe that's when you do then end and relist them and look at why haven't they sold? Okay, end them and look at them. And do I need to do new photos? Do I need to change the description? All those things. Change all that you need to change. Revise your listing, then do the sell similar on your refreshed sort of listing, or is it just trash and you need to get rid of it?
Well, that's what I suppose that's my Octo's theory. We'll go with the Hayfro and the Primo Chemo and all this. And what we just spoke about then is no reflection on their systems, right? Like what they found and what they brought to the table was fantastic, right? But like we did put that caveat in the first place, is that we'd be truthful. We're not just going to start sucking up to people and say this is fantastic and this works when it doesn't. I think it had its Hayfro sales day in the sun, but like I say, is that it's kind of. It's. I think eBay's patched it a lot quicker than I thought they would have been. Or, like I say, is that it's giving you artificial views. Like Brenny was saying last week with that, Mr. Happy Toy, whatever she had. This person was constantly
Mr. Chatterbox.
Mr. Chatterbox was reaching out and saying, "Hey, look, why the hell are you relisting this thing on a daily basis?" That's probably where your page views coming from. People are actually saved that search. They're just looking at the same thing over and over again with no intentions to buy. And that's not to say that it doesn't work for the US people, right? Or the UK people. It's just that what we're finding is that, and a lot of YouTubers are saying that, they think that eBay's algorithms move to a higher sell-through rate. Is this new system like the Hayfro cells or that Primo Chemo's nuclear reset? Yes, like I said, smashed my sell-through rate to 1% or 1.1%. Is that going to negatively affect me until it resolves itself? And like Blake was saying, it needs that time to get the data behind it and all those different things. And I kind of agree 100% with Brenny, is that if something hasn't sold in 6 months, bin it or create a secondary eBay store where you just have your granny's crazy bargains where you just have everything 50% off and it's just garbage. If it doesn't sell there 6 months, piss it off and throw it in the bin. That's what you need to do.
I've recently done that. I went through and sorted by SKU, and instead of doing, because that's another thing too that no one's really spoke about, is that it gets rid of some of the marketing things you can do. If you're doing that store reset, you can't run a markdown sale. And they work and sometimes they don't, but that was part of my whole business strategy, is after a certain amount of time, my oldest 100 or oldest 200 will get marked down 50%, then I'll go down 5% from there. So half my store at a time would be on a markdown. But because I can't do that, what I've done is I've gone through my oldest 100 listings, and I've just gone in, sold similar, edited the price, and chopped it by 50%, and just to try and get rid of some of that stuff. And it has worked. But I think that, I guess in a way I want to do a bit of damage control, because I could already see all the comments just being all like, well, it was never going to work, la da da da. we were never completely 100% sold on it. We're more or less doing the experiment so that we could show you what we found. So
that's exactly
that's all it was.
And honestly, we said right from the start, like even when we were first doing it, like one of the things is it's not going to be sustainable long term, because
never a long-term strategy.
It's just a big chunk of your day. And I'm finding, like I've been doing it for 4 weeks, and I am finding, like as much as I like to listen to podcasts or something in the background normally when I'm listening or doing whatever, you just, I can't with that, because it just takes so much concentration. It's tiring, and it takes a lot of concentration. It takes a lot of time. And I've got nearly 2,500 items in my store, so it does take a long time.
Yeah. It only takes me about 15 minutes to do my 1,300, and that's like that's going hammer and tong. Like I said, just full concentration. But there's like I said before, that there's a lot of naysayers, and there was a lot of naysayers in the previous comments as well when we did raise it. So again, this is never going to work, or good luck ruining your store, and all those different things. If people don't try things, they're not going to get better, right? Like this is your pioneers. People like Promo, Chemo, and Jeff, like Hey for Ourselves, and all this stuff, and Josh Galton, John, and all these other people that bring these things to the forefront. Is that they're bringing this stuff to somewhat help you. If it, like I said, it would have given us sales that we didn't like Liam was saying. It's selling a lot of old stuff that it's been dead and buried for a very long time, right? Like. That by all means they could have kept it to themselves, and this system probably would have chugged on a lot longer than what it possibly could have or would have, because there's probably about 2 people doing it in the whole of eBay, and eBay is none the wiser because it's an anomaly. But because they brought it out there, and it could have just shot it down the feet from that way. But that's, like I said, that people need to do this kind of thing.
Yeah, and it made a lot of people a lot of money. It made me a lot of money. Like it made a lot of people a lot of money, and that 1 month period or whatever where it was really good. And look, it might still be really good for some people. It might just be the stuff I'm selling or whatever. That's fine. But it made people a lot of money in that time, and I'm thankful for that. But now for me, it's run its course, it's done. I'm going to go back to doing what I was doing and what worked for me. So, and there's nothing wrong with that either.
No, exactly. And it's okay to pivot and change, and we do it all the time. You've got to adapt to this thing. But for me, if I want to describe how it worked for me, I always thought that when your item, how it's listed for 30 days and then it relisted itself. I always thought that when it relisted itself, it would get that oomph for being a new listing, but that's not the case. And so I always thought, even though I had older items in my store, I thought for a couple of days every month, they are going to get a bit of an uplift, but that wasn't happening. And I guess that's the thing that this doing the end and sell similar has done. It's actually done that for those things in my store, and that's what it sold.
Yeah, because I had a chat with a reseller that I respect highly, about this sell similar thing, and he said to me, look, that I don't do that because when my stock turns over in 30 days, that I get that new listing boost every day, opposed to just that once a hit. But like Leanne was saying, you don't get a boost on sequential listing because it's not a new listing. It's a new 30-day cycle, which eBay
just renewing
theoretically. Yeah, that's right. They class that as probably a monetary or a triggering system for their financial or accounting perspectives. They don't see it as a new listing. Yeah, because it's false. Yeah, well, look at this. From an ACCC perspective, which is our consumerism commission. Like I suppose you could probably say that you can't say, "Hey, look, it's a new item," when it's been listed on eBay for the last 6 months or last 8 months. It's just by virtue that 31 days or that 30 days is rolled around again. It's not a new item. But like you're saying, Leanne, was that when you sell similar and you flush it out and you start again, it's classed as a new item because it's got a new item number. So the algorithm thinks it's a new item. So,
and that's shown in the thing when you go to your markdown manager, because it still says it has your days on site. It could be like 120 days. Well, that's gone through 4 of those 30-day cycles. It's still that same item, but it's been on the platform for 120 days. It's absolutely meaningless, and it's for a means to sort things, basically, is all I can really see. Like, it's not... it's a meaningless metric for us as sellers for the most part.
And I do think what Liam was saying earlier about stuff becoming stale and, like what Blake was saying is mark it down to 50%, all these different things. I think it's going to get to the point where that's even redundant. Like, you're probably going to need to take it off the site. And a lot of people, myself included, buy crap because they don't know, or they watched a YouTuber, or they've seen it in a Facebook group, or they spoke to Granny and she said, "Oh, these teddy bears are the fantastic, buy them." You're buying stuff that you don't know nothing about with the virtue of hoping it sells. then it just sits around and becomes stale and drags the rest of your store down. Like I said, it might be a case of, like take it off the site, create a secondary store where everything's marked at $19.99 or $9.99, whatever it is, just to blow it out, then put it in that store and just be gone. Because I kind of agree with Daily Refinement, what he said ages ago, is like have like a really, almost like a top 100 or top 500 store where your sell-through rate's phenomenal, because it's just like the platinum tier items, because it's the creme de creme, where you, like you said, the stuff that doesn't sit there for what, I'd probably even go 3 months. If it hasn't sold in 3 months, it's not good. If it's Christmas decorations, they're not going to sell in February, right?
Well, that's true. Yeah, I mean, there are some things that are going to be affected by seasonality for sure, and different times of the year. But like, I think also, I just think if hasn't sold in 3 months, that then you really need to look at it and say, like, because it could be a good item, you just haven't listed it the right way. There is that thing. So I think that's the time you need to sit and say, okay, I'm going to look at it and, decide whether it is a good thing or a bad thing. And if you still think it's got possibilities, but you put something wrong in the title, or your photos were crap because the bulb on your bloody softbox light went out that day or something like that, like, fix all that stuff and then put it up again. But after that, like, it's got to go.
Yeah. And, like, I suppose you want to cut Blake off, but I was listing a Nintendo DS system on the weekend, right? So I found a sold comparison, because what I normally do is I go to the sold comparisons, then try and steal their titles, because they're sold, right? So if I can kind of use that title and massage it a little bit to make it like what I use. But a couple of the listings that I was competing against, it looked like they were taken in a dark room. Like this, that someone was holding it, it was blurry and all these different things. And kind of think to myself, this is never going to sell. Then these are the same kind of people that will go eventually onto into Reddit posts or Facebook or onto customer service at eBay and go, why the hell is my item's not selling? Like Rennie was saying, you need to kind of look at it and go, hey, look, it looks like it's been taken by a potato. What's this kind of thing? So,
or your title says size 16 jeans.
Yeah. Oh, on a side note on that little thing, those ones that are taken in dark rooms and have terrible titles and terrible photos, they can also be very good sourcing opportunities.
That's right.
Because you can, like if they've been sitting, hadn't sold for 6 or 8 months, they just want it gone. You come in there, make them a good offer, and I've got a few things that way.
I won't say what it is, but I showed Leanne something that I bought for $45 because I just listed it as men's shirt. And then I sold it 3 days later after I received it for $299. Will I pay $45? Was it Leanne from memory?
Yeah.
So sure. It's like that. Exactly what Blake was saying there is that it's a fantastic sourcing opportunity, especially if you know that market back to front. Like DS game, or you even find it on Facebook Marketplace when you're sourcing. That someone was selling a thing I picked up on the weekend for. It was a 3DS pack. It was phenomenal value. They had it as DS3 or D3S or something, like something really obscure. And it was only because by virtue it came up when I found it, but. Like people have got saved searches for Nintendo 3DS or Nintendo or Sony or PlayStation, all these different things. It will never come up in that. So,
no.
And if you are wanting to try a bit of online sourcing or just have a look to see what things are out there, look at the item you're looking at and see what spelling mistakes could easily be made, and just go and I sort of woke up to that fact when you showed me that item that you bought for $45 and sold for so much, because when you first look at it, if you don't look at it closely, you think it's spelt one way where it's actually spelt another way. But quite often people are listing it the original, like the way that when they first have a glance, because they're not taking notice. They're doing it off a photo on their screen that they haven't enlarged. They're just going off the thumbnail on the photo and they think, oh yeah, that's that word, and they put that in. So that's just a little tip for you.
That's right. And like I said, it's quite lucrative. Like Blake was saying, if you catch it out, it can be quite lucrative. But or on the flip side, like what Blake was saying, that you think you're getting a good deal, and when it arrives, it's all crap. So just do your due diligence.
True.
So,
exactly.
True. Anything else to add, Blake, before we wave our tentacles goodbye?
No, just be a good seller, and the BBE, if it comes and when it comes, it will not impact you one bit.
That's exactly
basically
right.
I'll say. Just do the best practices now. If you're not already, get into it, because otherwise you'll be one of the ones that'll get cracked with the whip.
That's right. Yeah, and don't go to Facebook they go to Facebook pages and witch and bitch and carry on. Work
Turn
out
off
what
your
you're doing
Facebook.
wrong. Work out what you're doing wrong,
nowhere.
then that's exactly right. But anyway,
social media.
That's right.
And look, in all honesty, and we probably all know someone that does struggle and seems to constantly get INADs or constantly has late postage dings. I don't know. Some of those people won't want to listen, but if you feel that you can talk to them, or if it is you that's happening to, you actually need to turn around and have a look at your processes and at what you're doing and work out why that is happening, because it shouldn't be happening that often that you get to that point. So have a look and turn around, internalize, is it? No, be reflective on your processes and on how you do things and say, well, okay, I've got 2 days shipping, but quite often I don't go to the post office till the third day, so I only have to go twice a week. Maybe that's why I've got all those late postage dings. Simple things like that, like have a look at what you're doing wrong and try and fix it. And then this won't become such an issue. And fix it now before it does get put in place.
That's right. And I suppose further to what Brenny was saying as well, you're not going to be an expert as soon as you start selling on eBay, right? You want to go to your trusted people, and that's not every YouTuber. I wouldn't recommend every YouTuber being trusted in that respect. Two Aussie thrifters or Uncle Wayno or Chris Furlong and all those different things. I'd look at their videos and say, hey, look, they're pretty much smack bang on the money, right? So they're the ones you probably want to use as your baseline to learn how to do things. And there's a lot more out there. I can't think off the top of my head, but like I said, just don't go to those entertainment ones where they show you how to negotiate and garage sales and all these different random flavors of the week kind of thing. Like I said, absorb those different things and surround yourself with what we're going on about last week with the community is surround yourself with positive people that are actually going to help you, not positive people going, oh great, Leanne, that you only got 3 negatives this month, you're doing good.
You don't want a yes man, you want someone that can give you positive criticism.
And be prepared to take that criticism. If you're struggling, you have to be, and you do go to someone for help, you have to be willing to accept the help and not think that they're having a personal shot at you, because that's not how it works.
Yeah, and like I said, I would promote Leanne's Discord. Like I said, it's free, and as far as I'm aware, she's no plans of charging for it forever or in the near distant future. Like I said, that I'm in there. Well, I will be in there a lot more often now. Blake's in there, Leanne's in there, and there's a lot of other people in there that all share the same mindset, right? Like I said before, is that I have no problem with people reaching out to me and asking me, but don't be off guard when I come back and say you've done it wrong, fix it, kind of thing.
Exactly.
I'll give you the advice. It's all about tough love, right? Like I said, I'm not going to tear strips off you if you made a genuine mistake, but if you keep coming back to me going, hey, how do I fix this? And I've already spoken to you 8 times before. The responses will probably get more spiteful. But like Liam was saying, is that surround yourself with the right community. Like Blake was saying, is don't be just like a yes man. For example, I was in a group the other day where this person was trying to be helpful, and they're telling this other person that how to do things and how to do all these different things, and they're completely incorrect. Like I said, that they didn't mean it from a nefarious or malice place. It's just that they didn't know themselves, but they took it upon themselves to be a bit of a subject matter expert in the area. Like I said, you just need to be very, very careful who you listen to. So.
Ask multiple people or listen to multiple people. Don't just take one person's word as gospel, because you'll probably do more damage than you will good.
And I probably think that's one of the advantages, not that I'm trying to push the Discord, but it probably is one of the advantages of a group like that, where everyone's free to say what they think in my Discord. There's you don't have to kowtow to the line. We're all adults in there, and we all agree to disagree if we have differing opinions, but it also gives that opening if someone, there was an instance there with some possible fake Malaysian DVDs the other day, and one person thought, no, they look authentic to me, but then someone else came in and gave them the reasons why they thought it wasn't authentic, and then another person came in and actually gave them a link to a video to watch, and everyone agreed in the end that they were fake, but they looked fair income, and how would you know? But it gave the people the opportunity to come in, and the different people who had something to do with that could come in and post their experience with it and say why they thought it was either fake or it wasn't. And in the end, it all got sorted out. So it was good.
So many people that know so many different things. It helps a lot. And it's not like it's Leanne's Discord, so she's the only one with any say, and it's her this and that in her community. It's just a place for everyone to just go and say what they want to say and learn some stuff.
And look, I called it GG's reseller room, like mainly because I was starting it at the start and to do the book group, and now it's sort of growing into something else, and it's growing organically. Like, I haven't been out there spurting off to say, you have to come and join my group, blah, 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 blah. It's just growing how it's growing, and it's just amazing for me to see that. But it will get a name change in the future. Just down the track a little bit.
Oh, that's good.
Because I like the fact that it's GG's for now, but I am going to change it.
Yeah, no, it's good. Like I said, that I'm not in there as much as I'd like to be, but it's from what I've seen, I can recommend it. So, like I said, that there's no alternative motives, or there's no, band hammers floating around, or iron wills and iron fists and all these different things. So,
and you
might just get forced into doing a live stream.
Yeah. That's true.
Invite yourself onto it. But
and look, you don't have to post anything or say anything or do anything if that's what you want to do. Like, there's no you can absorb the information without actually interacting, I suppose. I mean, we like people to interact, that'd be nice, but there's no you don't. And then
I suppose, and a throwback to our previous episode, which we haven't aired and we never will because it was horrendous, is that there's nothing.
That's not true.
But you don't have to exclude yourself just to one community, right? Like, there's nothing with dipping your toes into several communities, then working out who's legitimate and who's bullshit, right? Like, I'm not saying that one's over the other, but like, you might resonate with Brenny in books, but you can't stand Blake's Gene's call, so you might go somewhere else and listen to what Gene's call on a different thing, or vice versa. That I might be too spicy for you when I'll tell you the hard truth. You might want someone that's a bit more nurturing. So like I said, that you just don't limit yourself.
Yeah, I've got quite a few people in the group, aren't they, Blake, that are members of both John's Discord and my Discord.
And other Discords and other groups and stuff.
That's right. Yeah, and I'm a member of the Trash to Cash Discord. I'm a member of Leanne's Discord. I'm a member of a couple of other Discords as well. I'm not a member of John's Discord, but that's not like by virtue of anything sinister or otherwise. It's just I haven't got around to joining it. But like I said, that just don't limit yourself, and because that's how what we spoke about last week quickly is that it's called groupthink. It's where basically everyone in that group just thinks that they're right, and that they'll never grow because they just think that that group's got all the answers, and they just basically get to the point where they all think the same and they just don't grow. But when you're a member of different groups, you bring different ideas in, then obviously it benefits everyone. So But having said that, that's enough about Leanne and blowing wind up her ink. But anyway, we'll catch you again next week. But thanks for listening. Bye.
Bye.